Damn Ceti Alpha Eels. They're everywhere. They burrow into the brain. They find the warmest spot. And they make you incredibly susceptible to suggestion. Hey folks, Captain Kilt-Man here, Captain Kilt-Man, at your interplanetary services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. As you can tell by my Starfleet regalia and this formidable weapon with that wonderful press the thumb and it spins round from stun to kill. Personally, I keep my own setting on stunning at all times. Anyway, folks, you may recall several videos ago I did a big sort of, enjoyment, a celebration of James Horner's score for Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, fixating primarily upon the attack by the commandeered USS Reliance upon the unsuspecting Enterprise. Surprise attack, and then Kirk's fabulous response with explosive reply to Khan, Ricardo Montalban as Star Trek's greatest ever villain. And, I reenacted a couple of scenes, of course, and then inevitably I went on to Spock's death. We will never get over it, even though he came back in the next movie, of course, and even lived on into, the brand new revamped movies as well, Spock Prime. But James Horner's music is far greater than just the emotional sort of fanfares, the beautiful euphoric rhapsodies that he's created for so many movies, and of course, his furious, aggressive action set pieces with that fabulous anvil clanging, effect. And of course, his notorious danger motif. We explored this all before, but really speaking, there's a hell of a lot more to his music and to Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. And I just wanted to do a little bit more. This is one of those little itches which I'm still scratching. It's nagging away, like the Ceti Alpha Eel, the only indigenous life form to this planet. Yes. And it burrows into the ear, and it makes Captain Terrell, Paul Winfield, and Walter Koenig, Chekhov, the great Chekhov, who incidentally was never in the original episode, The Space Seed, where Khan, Ricardo Montalban, first portrayed that character and obviously met Kirk and then was marooned on Ceti Alpha 5. This is Ceti Alpha 5! Because its moon exploded after they left the maroon on an Eden-like planet, but of course it lay waste, and only his superhuman strength and superhuman intellect, he's a product of genetics of the 20th century, a superhuman and a criminal, says Chekhov to the poor bewildered, Captain Terrell. But as I say, Chekhov was never in that episode, and yet Khan recognizes him. You Chekhov, yes, you I don't know, but anyway, you didn't come here expecting to see me. You thought this was Ceti Alpha 6, So he works out what's going on and puts the eels into their heads and brainwashes them to then all the crew from the Reliance get marooned on Ceti Alpha 5. Khan takes over the Reliance, speeds up to Regular One to try and find out all the information about Project Genesis. Genesis, life from lifelessness. And as DeForest Kelly, as McCoy, Bones says, God did it in 6 days, Jim. But here's Genesis, we can do it in 6 hours. It's all wrong. So many great elements in this movie, so many great bits of dialogue and interplay, chopping and changing. The film is a constant chess game between Khan and Admiral. I see that he rewarded you for what you did to me, and all this kind of shit. The death of my wife is vengeance. From hell's heart I spit at thee. All the Captain Ahab, rhetoric is there. It's wonderful. It's so endlessly enjoyable, and dialogue to relish. Supreme characters. The best Star Trek crew has ever been in anything in the Star Trek universe. But yeah, so obviously we've discussed how his surprise attack on the Enterprise, a bit of Shatner delivery there. We've discussed how the surprise attack on the Enterprise left them crippled. And then because he wants to find out about, this is Admiral Kirk now, to find out what's gone after the Genesis device, this thing which can turn a lifeless husk of a planetoid into a thriving, world full of evolution and life, and complete, a beautiful botanical environment. Apparently these can be brought out from, a lifeless husk floating in space. But where's the sun? Does it create the entire cosmic environment to keep life thriving? Doesn't matter. It's life from lifelessness, Jim. So, and Khan wants this because that is a weapon as well. That will, to create life from lifelessness, anything else in that vicinity, when that missile, that torpedo blows and causes the big Genesis wave, will be destroyed in order to create the new life on these new planetoids and that. So if you were alive to begin with in that vicinity, you'll be wiped out. So it's also a colossal weapon as well, which is a great thing about human evolution, humans, technology. Everything that we create on this planet in our environment has a knock-on effect. Yes, fossil fuels. Yes, the atomic bomb, splitting the atom. But look, everything that we create can become a weapon as well. It can be weaponized and turned against us. And that's been the logic. Which was the cast member that always went on about logic? Oh, I forget now. I forget. My ears will prick up in a minute, and I might remember. But the stories always turn on these humanistic elements with all the intergalactic stuff as well. And it's very, very clever. Which is why Star Trek's ethos never dissipates. It never fades away. It's always relevant. But I'm running away with myself again, because what I wanted to play for you was James Horner's Mysterioso, his sinister, his scary, his deep, dark, growling, threatening music, which he was also exceptionally good at. Films like The Hand, Humanoids from the Deep, Wolfen especially, Aliens. He had the action cues, the danger motif aplenty, but he had so much more to give as well. So much more creepy, sinister weirdness. So, after they get crippled on the Enterprise, and the Reliant, after they turn the tables and the Reliant has to bug out, they want to find out about Genesis. So, it's Dr. Carol Marcus, an old flame of Kirk's, of course. He's shagged every bird in the fucking galaxy, hasn't he? There's no stopping his soup. The space seed, the DNA is James Tiberius Kirk on every space seed floating around the galaxy. Impregnated the entire universe. Good going, Jim. But, so they end up on Regular One, which is the space station around the planetoid where they're going to be trying to test bomb this Genesis device. But of course, by the time they get there, Khan got there first. So let's get on to this. And this is wonderful. This is called Inside Regular One. Let's turn it up. Scratchy metallics. Synth, weird strings. Glissando. Vibraphone. Savick, Kirstie Alley, Admiral Kirk, and Bones McCoy have beamed down, and they find like a deserted space station. Sense of dread, very Aliens, sub-level 3, creep around. There's a great tracking shot where they all split up and you see Uhura, who's on a view screen, talking, but you can't hear her voice, obviously concerned about them. What's happening down there? What's happening? And it just adds a real creepy dimension. McCoy, all these doors, whoosh, thermonics, it says. McCoy comes through, and a rat scurries past him. A rat! This is meant to be like a scientific laboratory in space. Where the fuck did a rat come from? McCoy turns round after seeing the rat into the dangling bloody hands of a corpse hung up there from the regular one crew. And next, they're all cut down, they're all bloodied, and it's a Star Trek, and these bodies have been hanging there, ripped up, tortured, and their throats slit. And it's great that it's McCoy that he walks like that. He's seen the rat and he's walking backwards, and he turns into these bloodied hands hanging down from the rafters. Ordinarily, that would be the woman. That would be Savick. That would be Kirstie Alley. But no, they twisted that. Director Nicholas Meyer, twisted it so it was McCoy. Jim, he says that. And in a little cupboard, they find Captain Tyrrell, Paul Winfield, and Chekhov. Yes, remember them? Botany Bay. That was the ship that Khan was on, and it was marooned on Ceti Alpha 5. This is Ceti Alpha 5! So they wake these two up who've been like comatose in this cupboard locked away. And Chekhov, it's Admiral Kirk, his old buddy, you know. Oh, sir, it was Khan. We found him on Ceti Alpha 5. He put creatures into our bodies, controlled our minds, made us do things. And Tyrrell, Paul Winfield from Terminator, is going like, you know, he tortured those people. They wouldn't tell him anything. He went wild. He's almost doing a Kirk impersonation. He went wild. He slit their throats. He tore the place apart. But he couldn't stay. He had to get back to the Reliance in time to blow you to bits. Now listen how Horner's music is turning up the dread. Because now you realise Tyrrell and Chekhov pull phasers on the good guys. Your Excellency, says Tyrrell, have you been listening? Khan has been listening to the whole thing. Now he knows, because they've beamed down onto the planet itself where the Genesis torpedo is, in the bowels of this planet. Khan's listening. They've got these eels in their head, these Ceti Alpha eels, and it's making them crazy. But Terrell, they're fighting against it, they can't kill Kirk. Terrell turns the phaser on himself. And he shrivels up. Oh! And then almost in agony, because the Ceti Alpha eel in Chekhov's head has witnessed the death of its mate. It goes, whoa, and Chekhov just drops the phaser and it crawls out. And they shoot the eel. And obviously they can save Chekhov, which is great because he's one of our favourites. And like, Khan, you bloodsucker. Kirk, because he's listening. My old friend, you're still alive. Yes, old friend. Because like a poor marksman, you keep missing the target. You've killed everybody else here. But if you want me, Khan, you're gonna have to come down here. You're gonna have to come down here. I've done worse than kill you, Kirk. I've hurt you, and I wish to go on hurting you, as you hurt her, my wife. I've left you marooned in the centre of a dead planet. buried alive, buried alive. And then Shatner does that great little final piece, you know. Khan! It's just wonderful. And his voice echoes, the camera pans out from the planetoid itself. Khan! 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 Just truly wonderful stuff. It's very Shakespearean. It's very, you know, the rivals, the arch enemies, who have a grudging respect for one another. So that, you know, they will engage in conversation. Khan really, does he want to kill him? Does he want to kill Kirk? He likes the antagonism of this nemesis. He tasks me. He tasks me. Truly wonderful stuff. Once again, folks, you know, this has been like just another big exploration of the Star Trek masterpiece movie, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. It is truly unbeatable. And I just had to come out with this little bit because I was talking about the film and talking about the music, and there was a whole element there which we hadn't touched upon, that darkness that James Horner brings in. In fact, they're going to do it again. Because I talked all over it. Romulan tea. This is the build up to Captain Terrell killing himself. The game's up now that, you know, Khan's been listening the whole time, and they've just inadvertently given, you know, the coordinates and the whereabouts of the Genesis device. So he's going to beam it anyway. So he's got that. But Kirk, again, because they've been speaking in code, you know, going by the book, Savick, you know, it'll take days to fix the Enterprise. This urgency, this insistence, driving, apprehension and dread. Inexorably. The way he builds it up, it drops, and a different part of the orchestra rises up in this spiral of frenzy and hysteria as Terrell rebels against the eel and the brainwashing. It is wonderful stuff. Such a darkness to it. This is a film where you have brevity, you have excitement, you have a strategic game between these two strong-willed characters. Heroism, sacrifice. Oh God, don't forget sacrifice. But you've got horror as well. It's by far the darkest that Trek ever went to. You've got gore, and you've got this whole mind coercion thing. Another element that Star Trek really brought in brilliantly was in Star Trek The Undiscovered Country, which this film was originally going to be called for a while, where Kim Cattrall, who plays the Vulcan, who's also, you know, she's kind of a bit of a double agent, and Spock does a mind meld upon her. They basically, it's a mind reader to make her divulge all that she's done, and he puts his hand on her face, and the music there and the darkness of it, he's basically raping her. He's violating her body. He's violating her to get the information out of it, and it's a really dark, sinister sequence, but it works brilliantly as well. Anyway, folks, I hope I I did not drown out the music, and I hope the music didn't drown me out. In a way, I was performing my own strategic chess game with the soundtrack to the movie as I discussed its innumerable merits. Folks, some people love Star Wars, some people love Star Trek, some people love all of it. This is a time that I'm celebrating Star Trek, and it's not even anything new. It's the classic, the absolute masterpiece that is Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. Nicholas Meyer directs his little socks off. All the cast deliver the goods aplenty. Folks, I'm going to leave it there. I have been, and always shall be, Kilt-Man. Forever boldly going where no Kilt-Man has gone before. But rest assured, you're all coming too. I won't forget you. You're all along for the ride. So, folks, in the meantime, and that dilithium crystal infused in between time, keep it Celtic. No, keep it kilted and keep it Celtic. I really, really must change that tagline. And I'm going to see you all last minute movie quote quiz. What film is this from? Jesus Christ, they're maniacs!